Welcome to our next session. In this session, we will discuss about the poem Refugee Blues by W.H. Auden. The poem Refugee Blues was written in 1939 by W.H. Auden, who belonged to the movement called the Auden generation. The other poets who included in Auden generations were Stephen Spender, Louis Magnus, and Cecil D. Lewis. The poem Refugee Blues was published in 1939 and it was included in the collection 10 Songs. The poem laments the sad plight of Jews who were threatened to leave the country before the Holocaust to the modern democracies and the indifference and antagonism they faced while seeking asylum there. The poem is often considered as one of the most significant responses in the context of the violation of human rights of the Jews of Europe. The term blues of the title stands for a song that laments an event which is depressing. That's a meter that Auden used in his poem like Calypso, and that was the one that American blacks used in their protest poetry. Let's move into the poem. The first stanza. Say, the city has 10 million souls. Some are living in mansions, some are living in holes. Yet there is no place for us, my dear. Yet there is no place for us. So here you can see the narrator is a German Jew, and he describes about the city they are currently living as refugees. And the city, which may be New York, is home to 10 million people. There's a kind of hyperbole there. And there are souls living in huge mansions. Some of them are rich people living in luxurious homes, and there are also poor people who have to live in holes or shabby houses. So holes may also mean underground halls or graves. And in the third line, you can see that he is addressing his wife. He addresses his wife and tells her that the city refuses to provide shelter for them, but is home to other 10 million people. So the entire stanza is in present tense and is showing the present state of the narrator and his wife. Second stanza. Once we had a country and we thought it fair. Look in the atlas and you will find it there. We cannot go there now, my dear. We cannot go there now. The stanza is in past tense and the narrator is talking about the past time and the place they previously lived, that is Germany. And even you can find that country in an atlas, a country which was fair and which didn't believe in discrimination. Maybe it was before the reign of Hitler. And he is again addressing his wife as dear. He says that they can't go there now because the Nazi soldiers will kill them. So the stanza signifies the past and the present condition of the narrator. And here the poet depicts the suffering of the narrator and the German Jews. Moving to the third stanza. In the village churchyard there grows an old yew. Every spring it blossoms anew. Old passports can't do that, my dear. Old passports can't do that. The narrator compares and contrasts an old yew tree in the village to the old passport. So every year the tree sheds its leaves and withers, but it blossoms again in spring. So it renews every year. But in the case of their old passports, it can't be renewed. Even though they want to renew it, nobody allows them to do that. So the stanza is in present tense talking about the misery of the refugees at the present. The emotion of helplessness is expressed, and without passport, they can't be back to their village and see the yew tree blossoming again. Now stanza 4. The consul banged the table and said, if you have got no passport, you are officially dead. But we are still alive, my dear, but we are still alive. So here, The stanza shows how the German embassy declines to offer any help to renew their passports. The narrator is told to consider themselves dead if they do not hold a new passport. So, in the third line, here's the feeling of abandonment, that how the country, the city, and the council refuse to recognize them as humans can be seen. He tells his wife that they are alive and they are surviving. So let me stop here. We will continue in our next class. Thank you.